they going to come close to $550 million? I'm very doubtful that they'll get even any, near that number. I'd be surprised by that because of the precedence of the other deals and where the value is.
All right, here we go. We've got Andrew Marchand joining us right now, senior writer for The Athletic, sports media expert. I've been following him for a long time. And you can also check out his podcast multiple times a week on the very topic we're going over and many others all around sports media at andrewmarchand.com. Andrew, great to have you on, man. Obviously, a huge story that we wanted to dive into with you because ESPN and MLB just announced a massive divorce. Can you take us through what the implications will be for baseball fans, for MLB, and for ESPN?
So, yeah, it's a big deal. The next year, this upcoming season, nothing will change. But as it stands now, ESPN, they owed baseball $550 million a year for the next 3 years after this season, as they're going to pay it this year, of course. They do Sunday Night Baseball. They do the Home Run Derby. And they have the first round of the playoffs. So they looked at this contract and they said $550 million. Wait a minute. Apple pays $90 million for their doubleheader regular season national games exclusive on Friday. Roku on Sundays paying $10 million. We agree we should pay more than them because our package includes playoffs, home run derby, Sunday Night Baseball is better. But is it 55 times better than Roku? Is it six? I'm not very good at math. 6 times better than Apple? They said no. The two sides. Pretty heated yesterday. Rob Manfred sent a memo to the owners that my colleague Evan Drellich of The Athletic obtained, and he said that the ESPN is a platform that's shrinking, which I don't think he would have said if they were still willing to pay them $550 million. So now baseball goes into those final 3 years with nobody to work with yet. Manfred said he has 2 places that are potential new distribution partners, but we'll see what happens next.
Who's to blame for this? Nobody's blaming ESPN for wanting to save money and read the landscape, but nobody's blaming MLB for blaming ESPN for not covering baseball the way that they should or shouldn't. So who's to blame? Who really gets the brunt of this blame?
Yeah, I'll blame somebody. Rob Manfred and Noah Garden. Manfred, I don't know what their vision is as of yet in terms of their TV deals. They were mad because the last time around in 2021, ESPN chairman Jimmy Pitaro, he lowered what he was offering from around $750 million is what ESPN was paying to the current $550 million a year, which I think is $570 for this season. So they weigh these things, they average out over the whole contract. And so, you generally at the end, they are more than at the beginning. And so, okay, you're mad about that. But then you go and you take the extra games that ESPN didn't want anymore, and you go to Apple and you sell them for $90 million, and you call it an experiment. You go to Roku. Well, first you had Peacock, but then you go to Roku and you sell them for $10 million. I don't know how you can expect ESPN to sit there and say, you've just devalued how much you say regular season games cost. And again, not that ESPN's package is slightly better, but if you look, Roku's schedule came out this week. It's not bad. It has some Yankee games, some Dodger games, I believe. And it's okay. And there is some exclusivity because those games start a little bit earlier. ESPN has the full ramp of nobody else playing on Sunday night. It's clearly better. It probably is worth, 200, 250, maybe $300 million. You probably, should be paying for that package at this point. And so, yeah, I think I don't know what their vision is. Having the opt out that they agreed to with 3 years left, is not ideal because most partners want a longer term deal. So they have stability. And after the 2028 season, Fox, TNT, and this deal are going to be up. And so I don't really see. And then obviously they also have the regional sports network problem. And it's not these aren't great cards that they've been dealt. So I'm a little sympathetic in terms of that. But I don't see at this moment the vision of what they're trying to do and how it's cohesive, because ESPN is likely their best partner. that they could have. We could talk about the Amazons. We could talk about maybe another network, Apple, Roku, Google, YouTube. The streamers are unproven with regular season baseball, and you're going to talk about that ESPN's not featuring baseball on Sports Center or their talk shows, and maybe that's true. Go to a streamer and let's see what the ratings are if you're Major League Baseball for regular season games. I don't think they're going to be great. I don't think that many people, I think less people will watch. And I think you're taking a big risk going to those 2028 deals that you're going to have to renew or reconfigure.
Did Rob Manfred's comments, were they too petty? In the sense of like, well, if you're not going to, then you're not that cool anyway, ESPN, and we're fine with it. Were they too petty in the sense that whoever's going to be picking up these games or whoever they're going to next, the two other places that he said they're going to be, possibly streaming on, like, do you really want to work with a guy who does this at the divorce of, a long-standing relationship that Major League Baseball and ESPN had?
So I'm a person who thinks like have a reason for everything you do. And so, and especially when we're talking about if you're the commissioner here, what's the strategic reason to diss ESPN here after a long relationship that has been a good relationship overall? You could argue that they don't. Yeah, the reason that you guys, are off to success is because you have an audience that likes to talk about baseball. But I'm not saying it's a niche audience because I think there's a big niche for baseball. There's a lot of baseball fans. But if you want to do a show like First Take, people want to hear about the Cowboys. So the idea that it's not they would talk about the Milwaukee Brewers on First Take if more people would watch. That they just doing what the metrics say. And so to bring up that stuff, which I don't think really concerns them, the $550 million is what concerns Major League Baseball. I don't see the purpose of that. ESPN still wants to be in business with Major League Baseball. They want to have national games. They'd like to be part of the solutions for regional sports games and all the problems with the RSNs. And the other thing is they have someone in Jimmy Pitaro who's a huge baseball fan. And when you make these decisions, you'd like to say, well, that doesn't matter. I think it does matter a little bit. The guy in charge eats and drinks and breeds the New York Yankees, still gets upset over regular season losses. And so that's someone who you want, and his sister works in the commissioner's office. So you feel like that's someone who's, I wouldn't say family, but is someone who you could work with. And here's the other question you have to ask yourself, your Major League Baseball. Why did the last deal go down from 700 plus to 550? Because they didn't have somebody else to go to. If they had somebody else to go to then, they would have, or they at least you would have used the leverage to keep the number at the same number. Why did they end up at Roku for $10 million? Because nobody really wanted those deals. Now, the streamers have matured. Amazon's clearly I think they're probably ESPN's biggest rival right now, with Netflix maybe around the corner, because they have the NFL, they have Thursday Night Football. They like the idea. They have a relationship with the Yankees. They've been very smart. And so could they be the saving grace? Maybe, but they also I don't know if they're just writing a check because they can. That's not what their MO is. Yeah, Netflix, Apple has not been a success. They don't release any numbers. Yeah, I can't say the numbers I've heard, but they've not been good. And you just have a feel too when those games are on for people for their local team. Is there excitement or is it a nuisance? And I think almost 100% people would say it's a nuisance. It's 4 times a year, and I don't really see the strategy of what they're doing. So they got to really rethink when they get to 2028 in terms of how they're going to sell their packages, because they have to do it differently than they are now because it's a different world with streaming. And again, there's no vision right now. So to answer your question, I don't understand why you make those comments, because I think if you're smart, you want ESPN still involved. That's only going to help you. It's not going to hurt you if you have ESPN at the table, even if you want to leave.
Yeah, misguided and dumb. Take the high road. It's not like it's the last time you're ever going to work with them. I'm totally with you. And it's not like we always get straight shooter comments. And that's fine. We know what we're getting from the league. But Commissioner Manfred talking about the A's situation, Commissioner Manfred talking about the uniform disaster, right? Like all that gets covered up, but then we're going to blast ESPN. Yeah, that rubbed me the wrong way. So here's the perfect follow-up, I think, for the league to think about is, do they really have multiple other streamers or networks involved here? Do you think that they do? He promised everyone in his letter. It's not like he was talking off the cuff when he blasted ESPN. He also said in the letter, in writing, we've got 2 other dance partners. Do you believe it? And any speculation on who that would be?
So, part of reporting is trying to be prepared. So I've talked to a lot of places to try to gauge interest. Do I think would people want to broadcast or stream baseball? Yes. Are they going to come close to $550 million? I'm very doubtful that they'll get even near that number. I'd be surprised by that because of the precedence of the other deals and where the value is. A Sunday night baseball game probably brings in about $1.5 to $2 million when you add it all up in advertising per game. There's 26 of them around. So do the math there. You're talking about 52 million. The playoffs, maybe add another 100 million. Home run derby. I think you can get the 200 million, and maybe then it's baseball. You get 250 million. I think those are the numbers you're probably talking about. So I could go one by one. I try not to say what's not going to happen because nobody's going to, you guys are going to call. You say, hey, Marchand said they're not going to end up on Fox. I will say I don't think they'll end up on Fox unless it's a cheap deal. Fox already has baseball. They're already paying baseball. They like their situation. They've been offered Sunday night in the past. They haven't gone for it. Could someone like NBC with their Sunday night, they have Sunday night football, they have Sunday night basketball, could they do a package? Yeah, but you don't have all, like what happens in September? You're not on broadcast TV at that point because they have football. So you go to Peacock. Does that solve what Manfred said in his memo in terms of we want broader distribution? So your most important Sunday primetime games are possibly on Peacock. I don't see that. CBS maybe is could be a new entry, but I tend to doubt it. Again, I'm not going to rule any of these out, but I don't think so. And so you get to the streamers. I think Amazon's the one everyone points to, but they don't look at themselves as we're dying to get in. They are very strategic, very smart. And then Apple, that hasn't been a success. Apple's not as broadly distributed in terms of Apple TV Plus, and so I don't know if I don't foresee them doing a bigger deal with Apple. I don't think that has gone well, and so it's not obvious who it could be. I mean, there's Netflix, there's Google, YouTube. I will say that I would be a little bit I'm not going to say 100%, but I feel like if they had somebody, we might have already heard about it. That's very possible. Again, we have to see. Yeah, you got to let it play out. You got to give Manfred and Noah Garden a chance to show that there's other outlets out there. But again, I said 7 years ago, or actually 2021, not 7 years ago, 2021, they had to go with ESPN. Then they were stuck with Roku, and they did the Apple deal. So maybe someone emerges. I just don't think it's obvious. Again, they can have another partner. I mean, there are a lot of people. Baseball is great. People want to be involved with baseball. The money, the distribution channels. Do they have something better than what ESPN has? And they should be on ESPN. It's pretty obvious. That's where they should. That's the deal they should be making. Is how do we make this work with ESPN? And even if it's less money, because yes, they were mad that they lowered it last time, they lowered it this time, but you can't. That's not how you run a league. Being mad, you got to do what's in front of you.
Right. ESPN, even though they don't talk about baseball, it is still good to be in business with them the way that they do promote what they have in their inventory. Also, they do have a new streaming platform with Andrew's been all over this story, which is coming out soon. And that direct to consumer platform obviously could use the inventory. Maybe they could talk them into some studio shows, stuff like that would please them on that side. We know this is about money.
More in a minute, but first, a quick word from our sponsor of this video.
Kratz, what time is it?
Time to stop overpaying for wireless with these bogus fees and, quote, free perks that actually cost more in the long run. You know what I'm saying?
What he's saying is it's time to switch to Mint Mobile with premium wireless plans starting at $15 a month. Just check it out. See how much you can cut off your cell phone bill. Go to mintmobile.com/territory.
No unexpected overages on those bills. You get all the bells and whistles too. And I love that all plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And you bring over your current phone number when you switch. If you like your money, Mint Mobile is for you. Shop plans at mintmobile.com/territory. That's mintmobile.com/TERRITORY. Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month, 5 GB plan required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customer offer for first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
And now back to the video.
How do you compare the way that MLB has handled the media side of things versus the other sports that you cover in terms of, are they doing a good job or not? And I'm broadening it beyond just media rights, because I can give some insight on things that a lot of creators and just fans look for. They're by far the most strict league when it comes to rights on places like YouTube. They are so damn strict. There were stories out about hockey. MLB is 10 times more strict than hockey has ever been on being able to use a single slice of anything. NBA took the complete opposite route about 10 years ago, right? They're on a million different streaming platforms saying, oh, we're testing things out. No, you're trying to take a quick buck, and it actually ended up screwing you over. So I can go on and on about this. Obviously, I've disagreed on a lot of things and ended up saying, hey, I think they're missing something on the talk show side too. But curious to get your take on how they compare to people like Adam Silver and his decisions. And I know different product, but also Roger
Well,
Goodell.
I think you do have to start there. Yeah, I think so. I do think you have to start there. Right? The NFL is the king because they have the best TV sport. And so it is easier to make great deals when you have a sport that has something. The word that I want to use here is scarcity. And now the NFL keeps like making more Netflix games and Amazon games. And so, but the one thing that really helps the NFL is, even though they've expanded the season to 17 games, they have scarcity. The NBA, what they just did, and they did a masterful job. So if you ask me who's done the best job, Adam Silver has done the best job in the last cycle. He got $76 billion. He got more money from NBC than NBC pays the NFL. And NBC has Super Bowls. They only have half the Western Conference over their 11 years. Six games, six Western Conference finals, no finals. He got more money from Amazon. He got similar money to the NFL from ESPN. And so he's done the best job. Baseball's national and regional now is a very difficult dilemma. If I were them, the word I used before is scarcity, I would try to figure out a way to devise packages where I create marquee events. So maybe it's Fox with 10 marquee events during the regular season. Opening day, you have a doubleheader on Big Fox, and that's it, standalone doubleheader. You have the All-Star game Fox has. They did the Field of Dreams Classic. Maybe you do one or two of those. Maybe you in September they don't want it because they have college football, but maybe you find a slot during the September, the big September run, and then the playoffs in the World Series. So that's like one example. I could go through other, and you can't have these 50 partners. You're a Yankee fan, yes. Amazon, Apple, Roku is free, but Roku, I might be TNT,
Fox, ESPN, TNT. Yeah.
So, you make it hard for people. Eventually, they'll give up. The diehards of the diehards, they're gonna find it, but there's not as many of those people. They're listening probably to you because they're so into it, and you guys have you're global and you can reach a lot of people. But when you talk about even the Yankees, I've heard what the numbers are for an Apple game. People just will say, I don't have Apple. It's a hassle, and it annoys people. They got to figure out a way that it's easy. They understand. Like, I think they get a bad rap on the blackout problem. They know they want to get rid of the blackouts. There's contracts that they can't just break. But so they understand that issue, and I think they desperately want to fix it. But that's what they have to figure out, is how to present the game, and so they can maximize their money and they can grow it. And I think it's a combination of distribution, so broadcast. You could argue some of the new streamers, but they're not there yet for not marquee events. People aren't finding those things in terms of the casual fan. Or you get the diehards, yes. And so to answer your question, they haven't done a great job. They've done a bad job for sure, but I also don't think that their hand is as good as some of the other sports.
That's fair. Last point here. As far as I know, they held some streaming rights hostage because there was obviously a relationship with many of these RSNs, and they were like, well, you have to pay us a lot more for that, right? Which, okay, I get it, but those didn't get sold elsewhere. And then it just screws over the fan. And then you miss out on people like me who consume content very differently. So that was a part also that I felt lost with for a 10-year span. I'm like, this just doesn't add up.
Well, I think another thing that now all the sports, all the leagues and all the networks are doing, you can't just chase old money. They had a great system with the RSN, and if you're just chasing old money, you're going to get in trouble. If you ask me, the reason I think ESPN makes a lot of sense is ESPN is going to go DTC, which means you won't need cable in August. They're probably going to charge $25 to $30. So if you're someone who doesn't want cable, you want to lay, they have about 1/3 of the big sports, and they have a lot, but they don't have everything. If I'm Major League Baseball, I want to be part of that, and you charge either somewhere between $5 and $10 extra per month, because I think you can get people to pay $5 or $10. And I do these deals. I wouldn't try to get a check. I mean, I think I would try to get the best distribution and then charge $5 to $10 if you can. And I get it. They want to, now they just price it at $24.99 or even $29.99 for these monthly packages that we don't see the numbers. I can't imagine that many people are getting it, because you first have to not already have cable, because so you don't like your teams enough to have cable. So then you're saying, okay, I don't like them enough, so I don't have cable, so I'm not watching them. Now I'm going to go watch them, and it's almost $30. I don't think people are doing that. It's illogical. You have to get that price point lower, and obviously Manfred totally would like to have all the teams under one streaming service, which does make some sense. But again, are you getting the casual fan? Because you have to bring them in. So it's a complicated equation, but they really haven't been smart about it. So to answer your question, you know what? They do have a bad hand, but they've been bad.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I'm frustrated about it because I hear from people and I'm a consumer, but just one more to pile on here. So they take over the Twins, for example. They've taken over other teams too. What's the first thing that happens that gets buried in a press release? On the road, no more pregame shows. On the road, postgame shows cut from 30 to 15. Now that hurts your audience retention. And you're just saying, hey, we're going to throw some generic league sponsored stuff at you. That's not what fans want. That's the stuff that bothers me, Andrew. So anyway, appreciate it. Yeah. You got last word?
No, 100%. You
why?
need to put a quality. Yeah, you need quality. And also it's connecting with your fans. I mean, you have a better opportunity to do that than ever before. So I think we're on the same page. It'll be maybe I'll come back after they finally get to the next move, and it'll be interesting to see what that is.
Yeah, let's see what that looks like, because they're obviously calling out ESPN. They think they've got better, or at least something else in hand. So, Andrew, this was great. Wanted to dive into this. Thanks for jumping on pretty quick. And on the way out, let everyone know how much you do this. Obviously, I've been listening to you, back when you did the pod with Orand, and obviously catch everything you do on here as well.
Great. Thanks. I really appreciate it, fellas.
Wait, just let everyone know where to go.
Oh, sorry. AndrewMarchand.com. Yeah, I'm sorry. I saw it on the screen.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, AndrewMarchand.com is where you subscribe. You can listen. We talked about this topic both on Tuesday and Thursday. And then next Tuesday, I think it's going to be the lead again. So we talk about that a lot. And then also, of course, The Athletic, where I am honored to be teammates with the great Ken Rosenthal. So you can read me there all the time as well.
Yes, exactly. More in The Athletic and more on AndrewMarchand.com. Andrew, thank you. Have a good weekend, man.
Great. Thanks, fellas.
Hey, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content.
We're back here every weekday, all year long, so do not miss an episode.
The videos are coming in all day. Here's another video you might enjoy.
Baseball the way it should be covered.